Start the recording. Well, welcome tonight. This is day 3 of 5. We are going to have to move fast tonight because I want to finish module 1. So then next week we can start fresh with module 2. So I hope that you guys have all been really working on building relationships with the kids that you're working with, doing all those things, those positive deposits that are making them feel good and making them want to come. I'm hoping that you, last week, that you learned how to set up your environments to make it easy for kids to know what they're supposed to be doing, to know how they're making progress, to know when they're finished with an activity, and to know what they're going to do next. You can do that by setting up your schedule. Just how you have your room arranged will help kids learn what to do just by the visuals you have in place. Tonight we're going to start working on another part of your environment, and that is my group time, my large groups, my small groups, and then also my transitions. We're going to talk about giving directions. What does that look like? How can we give directions so that children will actually follow our directions? And then also we'll be looking at one more thing that I can't remember right now, but we'll get to it at the end. Just totally spaced off what it was. All right, so how many of you do large group activities with the children that you work with? Okay, most everybody does a large group activity. When you're doing a large group activity, you want to think about the age of your children, plan for the large group activity based on their age. If they're 2 years old, they should not be sitting there for 10 minutes. It should be way less for 2 and 3-year-olds. For 4-year-olds, they can handle 10 to 12 minutes, 15 max. During that large group activity, we need to make it engaging. Remember we talked about engagement last week? If kids are doing something, then they're engaged. If they're just sitting and watching you and it's not interesting to them, it doesn't match what they want to learn about, they're not going to be engaged, and that's when you're going to see behaviors. If it's way too long or it's too developmentally inappropriate, it's at too high of a level for them, you're going to see behaviors. So match your large group to where the kids are. Be clear about what it is you want children to learn during that large group activity. And again, match it to their developmental level. Children age 3 don't need to learn about ABCs. They need to know what's going on right now. What am I interested in? What's going to happen today? What maybe do the clouds look like? But yesterday and tomorrow, they don't have a clue what that is yet. 4-year-olds can probably do yesterday and tomorrow, but to think about time the way we think about it, it's not for them. They'll get that when they're developmentally ready to get it. Calendar time for children, actually preschool and younger, by the time you spend so much time teaching calendar that you're wasting other time. They'll learn that so easily when they're developmentally ready to, like in 1st grade. So we don't need to do it in preschool. We don't need to do it in early childcare. Let's do things that they're developmentally ready for. Use large group to teach new things, fun things, like maybe how to stand on your foot, or maybe how to take turns, or maybe how to ask for a toy, or maybe what happens when I take these 2 colors and mix them together. Those are fun. Have a goal for your large group activities, not just we're doing it because we've always done it this way. Really have a goal for your large group activities. When you're implementing it, make sure everybody's involved, especially the kids that need it, the little wiggle worms. You can assign jobs to kids. Have somebody, if you have one of the children that really is a fidgeter and needs to get up all the time, have him be your materials grabber or the book holder or something that will give that child a job. Welcome. Hi. Vary your speech and your intonation, because when you vary your speech, or if you talk really loud, they look and they really attend to you. When I used to teach, I grew up, my mom was from Alabama, so she had this Southern drawl. I watched weird TV, like with British accents, so I think I can speak like a Brit, but I really can't. But I would just change my accent a little bit, and kids would really listen. And sometimes they would just say, Miss Brenda, why are you talking like that? Because I want to, just, it's fun. Pay attention to their behavior. When you see kids are getting wiggly, change it up. Don't just keep snapping your fingers and, okay, you need to sit down, crisscross applesauce. No, that should be your clue. All right, everybody get up. Let's do a brain break or a song or something. Change it up and make it fun. Give kids opportunities to talk. Why? Why should we give kids opportunities to talk?
To express themselves.
Yeah. And back and forth talking is what builds their brain. We are learning more and more about brain research, and it's that they call it serve and return. When I talk, they talk, I talk, he talks, I talk, she talks. That's what actually builds brain connections, and that's what we're here for, right? Is to build brains. So talking with them, playing with them, singing with them, reading with them, not just to them, all of that builds brains. Give them opportunities to solve problems that affect the whole group. That's another reason that we can have large group. Sometimes, there was once when I was teaching 4-year-olds again, 3 and 4s, I had a group of kids and they were doing some inappropriate things and they were hurting each other. So I'm like, hey guys, you know what? Class meeting, everybody come and sit down. We've got a problem. You have got to help me solve this problem. In our class, we are supposed to have gentle touches. And I just laid out the expectations. And then I said, you know what I saw? I saw people hurting people. I saw hitting and I saw kicking. And we do not do that in our classroom. What can we do about it? And they came up with a solution. And they came up with, they have to go. And I'm not a fan of timeouts, but we made it something different. They had to make what I've phrased restitution. They had to fix the problem. So if they made an offense, they had to fix it. They either had to draw a picture, give a toy, something to fix the problem. But it was class meeting, and that's one way you can use your large group. Questions about large group and the purpose. What do you want to remember?
Engage the kids.
Engage the kids. Yep. Engage the kids. Very important for large group. There's types of large groups. There's the morning meeting time. These are some of the things you could put in your morning meeting time. The question of the day. What's the question of the day that you do sometimes?
I try to base it off of something that they learned either yesterday or last week. Like we were doing rhyming, so today's question was, what is the opposite of fast? And the choices were fast, slow, or hot.
Perfect. Something simple that they've already learned, or maybe it could be as simple as, which do you like better? Peanut butter sandwiches or bologna sandwiches? Right. Just whatever, but they're learning to read, and they're answering their own question. They can write their name, put their little picture, however it works for you. The weather. They know about the weather. One of the classrooms, she has a weather app on her iPad, and instead of dressing the weather bear in things that kids really don't wear anymore, they don't always wear scarves and boots, rain boots and stuff like that. So she has checked the app, and they've learned that they can't go outside unless it's 32 or more degrees outside. And so if they see that it's above that, then they know it's an outside day. And then she might say, well, here's then she just talks about it, and it's more of a conversation. So then she has the child write, today is rainy. We can go outside today, weather report given by whoever. And then that child is responsible for giving the weather report for the day, kind of like a weatherman would or a meteorologist. Community reports, what's happening in our community? That would be kind of fun. Did you see that Walmart is building on, or whatever is going on in the community? Give a community report. Talk about new materials that might be in one of the centers. The schedule for the day. Remember, the schedule today is going to be the same. I'm not sure about outside time. We'll have to check with the weather, the meteorologist, to see if we're going to get to go outside or if there's a change. I want you guys to notice the schedule today. We have a change. We have a visitor that's coming to our classroom today. So talk about the schedule. Go over the jobs of the day and then any topic of interest. A lot of you may have units that you're learning, units of study or themes. Talk about something, if we're learning about birds or worms or dirt or mud, give a little chat about it. Not long, just a little bit. Closing time. We should all have a closing time. Preschools for sure should have closing time. It would be nice if at childcare, before everybody takes off, you kind of have a large group. You could call it send off or whatever. It's like, hey, let's talk about our favorite part of the day. Just a little bit of recall. Talk about what you're going to do tomorrow to get them excited about coming. And then any take-home message. Tomorrow's going to be pink day. Remember to wear pink, or whatever you want it to be. Other types of large group activities would be story time. All the kids come together, listen to a story. An author's chair. Some of kids that are 4 years old, they have learned about books. They've learned about illustrators and authors. They write their own books, or they might read their favorite story to a group of other children. Music and movement, solving the class problems, and welcoming a special visitor. These are all different types of large groups. Challenges for large groups. We've got many different interests, many different types of attention spans, different lengths, different learning styles, and different abilities. So we have to think about those when we're planning our large group activities. Think about the children that you have this year, right now, and plan your large group to make sure they're meeting all of their needs. You can do this. Some solutions are by just looking at your area, making some changes. If you have some children that really just can't sit, is it okay if they sit on their knees? That was okay in my classroom. And I just said, I don't care if you lay down, sit on your bottoms, or sit on your knees. If you choose to sit on your knees, you have to be in the back, because that's fair, because we all have to see. If you choose to lay on your tummy, which they didn't do very long, but they thought it was cool that they got the option. I said, if you choose to lay on your tummy, you just have to make sure your body is not touching another person, that you keep your body to yourself. And it was a problem-solving thing for them too, to make sure there was enough space. But just, what's my goal for my large group? It's not for them to sit crisscross applesauce. It's for them to learn and engage. Think about what your real goal is. Consider how long your large group is. Sometimes you just have kids that can't last past 8 minutes. So keep it at 8 minutes or less. Rearrange the order. Teach and reinforce the expectations that you have for circle time. You guys all might have different expectations than what I have. Make sure the children know what your expectations are. And if you have a program, it would be nice, like, for example, your program, have it be the same throughout all of the classrooms. If this is what is expected for our childcare facility, let's let it be that way for the 3s and the 4s. 2s, maybe not, but I guess we can start. And take many movement breaks. When you see them getting wiggly, you just know it's time to move. It's very helpful if children have those visual cues so they know how to sit. These are kind of like helpful hints. Have cues where children should know where to sit. Who does that in here? Okay, so some of you already have done that. If you don't have their names, that's okay. Sometimes we just have circles, or today we're going to have triangles, or tomorrow we're going to have whatever. I like to try to have one more spot if I'm not doing names than what I have children. That way everybody has a choice. It's nice to have a visual so children can have something to focus on. So for example, if your very first thing of the day is when you're at circle time, if you're going to do the weather, then have a chart that has the weather on it. And then you can flip it to the next thing, and then flip it to the next thing, and flip it to the next thing. So kids can have something to look at. That's kind of handy too. I didn't always do that, but I heard a speaker who he does that, and he said it's very helpful. Props and materials. If you're going to read a book, it's really nice if kids can see the book. If I were to read a story to you right now, and you're sitting, because some kids are kind of that far away, okay, boys and girls, do you see the dog in the picture? And then blah, 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 and turn the page. How engaged are they going to be if they can't see the book? Not very. Big books are the best. If you can have money to purchase some of the big books, that's great. I like to do books in small groups, if possible, just because I love that up close. Or if it's a great book, but it's a little book, I'm like, you know what, guys? I know you can't see this, so you're going to have to scooch close. Take 2 scooches closer. They scooch. Okay, 2 scooches closer. And we get super, super close. Those of you in the back, if you're having a hard time seeing, it's okay if you're on your knees. It just depends on your group, but I want them to be engaged so they can see the book. And hopefully, if I ask them to point, I'm getting the book close to them. If you have rules, circle time rules, that children sit crisscross, then have a picture of that. If you have a circle time rule that children don't talk, which I hope that's not one of your rules, but if it is, make sure you have what their mouths are supposed to be doing. Some people have the check 4. Their eyes are supposed to be looking, their hands are supposed to be by them on their laps, their ears are supposed to be listening, and their mouths are supposed to be quiet. Just think about that when we talk about engagement. If they're always supposed to be quiet, maybe a turn-taking picture would be kind of nice, if just to take turns versus always quiet, because then if you ask them a question, they're breaking the rule if they talk, right? Just something to think about. Have name cards or a job system for picking children for jobs. A lot of people have popsicle sticks, and they have names in, all their names on a popsicle stick or something, just so it's rotated so kids can have a chance there. So I talk a lot about engagement, and I might have changed some of the pictures in different orders, so if it's not in the right order, I apologize. There's different levels of engagement. So, and I think all this pops up all at once. Okay. So the very lowest form of engagement is when children are watching. When anybody's watching. Right now, you're not really engaged with me that much because you're just watching and listening to me, but not a whole lot of engagement. If I really want to up it and make you more engaged, I give you something to do. I give you something to do with your hands. So think about that with kids. When they have something to do with their hands, they're more engaged, right? Everybody do this. Something to do with your hands, you're more engaged. Everybody's paying attention now, right? And stop. The next level up is if we can have that conversation. So if I'm asking you a question and then you respond and I respond back and we're just really having that conversation, that's the next level up. What parts of your day can you really get some of those verbal conversations?
Lunchtime.
Lunchtime is perfect. Yeah, lunchtime is perfect. Mm-hmm. Snack time. Anytime when they're playing, perfect. What about small group time? If you really want them engaged, have conversations with them. If you're doing a sorting activity, it's like, oh, wow, I see you put the horses and the cows together. Tell me about that. You really want to get them talking, not just, what color is that? Oh, how many do you have? Which one's bigger? That's not a conversation. That's more like an oral quiz. But if you have a conversation where you're really just talking with them, that really builds brains and ups their level of engagement. If you can pair the motor and the verbal together, then they're really engaged. So think about those songs that we do, they have the actions with, or if they're doing a puppet show, or they're doing a story retell and they have props, then they're highly engaged. There's times of the day when we're doing different parts of this, but just think about that. If you see your kids are not engaged, it's like, oh, okay, I need to up it a little bit. Let's get some motor going so they all can participate. Questions on this? Does it make sense? What do you want to remember of this engagement? What do you want to remember? Okay. Yeah, it's all super important. To ensure that students are engaged, you want to plan your activities with those specific goals in mind and provide opportunities for kids to be involved. Again, vary your speech and intonation. Change it up if they lose interest. Make it fun. We need to laugh. We live in a stressful world, and laughing and crying both relieve stress. If you don't want your kids bawling, then let's laugh. One of my favorite, you guys know knock knock jokes, right? Okay, so let's do this. Just a brain break. I love it. Sing with me. Stay on the happy side, always on the happy side. Stay on the happy side of life. You'll feel no pain as we drive you insane. So stay on the happy side of life. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Luke. Look out the window, it's sunny out today. And then we all go, oh, stay on the happy side, always on the happy side. And then I do a few more with their names, always a knock knock joke. And then pretty soon I point to one of them and they come up with a knock knock joke. Does it make sense? Not usually, but we don't care. We all laugh, and actually they get to be really funny, and we just laugh and like, okay, 2 more. And it's just fun, and it livens it up, and we're ready for it. Oh, absolutely. And it's good for us too. It's good for us to laugh with the kids. So here's some ideas, some large group activity schedules. This is, remember I talked about the chart, the flip chart. So one person's flip chart, it's like, okay, we're going to do our greeting. And they say good morning to everybody. They flip the chart. Let's review our rules. Talk about some of the rules, flip the chart. Now, how many songs can you tell that they're going to sing? Yep, 4 songs, because there's 4 pictures. So they're going to sing 4 songs that day, and then they'll flip the chart, and the kids can follow along. They know what's coming. They know that this is circle time, and after circle time, they know what comes next. Here's an example of a seating option. It kind of looks like a smashed cat bed. Lots of different ways to have seating options. So then we go into small groups. Small groups are important too. They're different than large groups because small groups, you have that more, not totally individual, but it's kind of more casual, and you can do some more skill building in that. You can give them some more individualized attention if needed. It's just, I don't know, it just seems more casual. You want to, again, be clear about the goals. What is it that you want to have the children learn or be able to do in your small group activity? You want to make sure you're using children or peers as models for the other. Oh, wow, I noticed that you drew a big line from the top of your page all the way down to the bottom of your page. How did you do that? So then the child is saying, well, I just started up here and I held the paper and I went all the way down. I wonder who else could do that. And they're learning from each other, because if we tell them to do something, it's not near as cool as if they're learning from a peer. So use them to help each other learn. Ensure participation by all kids, for all kids, with all kids. If you have somebody that maybe doesn't have a pencil grip yet, then give them something they can grip. Or if they're blind, or if they have other developmental issues, just make sure they're all participating. And you want them to do a similar activity, just what we call scaffold it, meet their developmental needs of where they are. If they can't draw a person, I bet they could scribble. So let them participate in the activity and do what they're developmentally able to do. Make it fun. Make your small groups fun. A lot of times, small groups, what I see are crafty things. And I think, did I talk about that last time? If it's something that you're fixing and making it look pretty and nice, then it's not fun and it's not meaningful. So let's not do it. Let's make it fun for them, meaningful for them. Parents want to see their creations, not teachers' creations. They don't really care that you can make a whatever. They want to see what their kids can do and let their kids be proud of that. When we fix it and just make it look a little prettier, then they're done. And you just invalidated their work. Provide them feedback throughout. Let them know what they're doing, what you see that they're doing that is amazing, or you're so proud of. Wow, I see you're really trying hard to get all of the white colored on that paper. Wow, I'm so proud of you trying so hard like that. Sometimes I had kids that would try to write their name or try to write a letter, and they're like, I can't. I'm like, you know what? I bet you can do your best. And I said, just if the name started with an A, I said, write your name, make an A. Make an A. So they'd make an A. Make another one. Make another one. Now I'm going to make mine. And I did some sloppy ones, and then I did like a good one. I said, I'm going to draw a circle around my best. I think this one's my best. Which one do you think is your best? Draw a circle around your best. Well, I like this one. Oh, yeah. Did you see how the 2 top parts of your lines came together like that? Yeah, draw a circle around that one. It's just a fun, this is the age that they learn and they build confidence. If we're always correcting and recorrecting, it's not fun for them. Give them positive feedback throughout. During small groups, you can introduce new concepts or materials. You can teach a specific skill. Again, encourage that conversation and encourage them to share with each other. Extend their thinking by asking them questions. Those open-ended questions. I wonder what would happen if, tell me why, or wow, what could you do that would make, just those open-ended questions to get them talking more and thinking a little bit higher. Those yes, no questions and questions that have specific answers give us information, but it's, again, kind of like that oral quiz. And pretty soon they quit talking because, oh my goodness, I'm tired of you talking in my face. We can focus our observations in small groups on individual children, and we can also document what they know. Some of you have to take anecdotal notes to assess where children are developmentally. So this is a time when you can do that. And in fact, a lot of teachers use their small groups to do a lot of note collection. So we've got large groups, we've got small groups, but there's another part of the day that we often forget about and we don't plan for. We're supposed to plan for large group with a goal in mind. We're supposed to plan for small group with a goal in mind. Sometimes we forget to plan for that in-between time, that transition. Moving from activity to activity without intentional, planned transitions is like moving from one place to another when the bridge is out. It's like, oh, I didn't think about that. We've got children standing in line for 10 minutes to wash their hands, and we're wondering why there's a behavior problem. I didn't plan for that. So thinking about transitions is what we're going to talk about next. It's hard to do a good transition. It's hard to get from one place to another without a good transition in place. So here's some tips for some smooth transitions. Plan for them. If you know it's going to happen, make a plan. Give children a notice before it's going to happen, especially if it's like a cleanup time. Boys and girls, in 5, remember we talked about the 5-point timer? In 5 happy faces, it's going to be cleanup time. In 4 happy faces, it'll be cleanup time. And you get all the way down. Boys and girls, it's cleanup time. And then I always had a cleanup song. So-and-so, can you turn on the cleanup song for us? And they would turn it on. Let's see if we can beat the song. And we hurry and we clean up. And most of the time it worked out okay. You want to allow enough time for the transition, but you don't want it too long. If you can break it up, like if it's time to wash hands and you only have one sink, what can you do to make sure kids are engaged while they're waiting, while they're washing their hands? What can you do?
See the cards.
You do what?
Well, they're in a circle. While I'm thinking to go to the bathroom, somebody else would have the boys. And only 2 at a time, and with 2 players, 2 stools. And the ones who are waiting, she'll go around with a card that's on with this picture.
Oh, perfect.
Maybe one leg missing, maybe an
perfect. Okay, I like that.
She does the very same thing. So this, it's just.
Yeah, you're planning for it. You know that this could be a time that children might have some difficulty standing and waiting. Waiting is hard. It's hard for adults. We're in a fast-paced world where everything's instant. We have drive-thrus. We have fast food restaurants. If you have to stand in line for more than 5 minutes at a fast food restaurant, how are you feeling? This is not fast food. We kind of get angry. So, yeah, thinking of activities to do, you can do nursery rhymes, you can do songs, you can do, just think and plan ahead. Teaching strategies has what are called mighty minutes. Yes, thank you. Things that you can do during transition times to get kids learning something. It's just not idle time. Give them specific tasks to do during that transition. Be clear and consistent. Make sure their expectations for the child are age appropriate. Teach those expectations. If it's time to line up to go to the gym and we all have to walk together, teach what that looks like. Practice it. Teach it. We have to stand in a straight line or on a footprint and then all go together. Teach what that looks like. Be flexible. Meet the individual needs while trying to keep the kids engaged. And use transitions as opportunities to teach. We have so many parts of the day that we're moving from one place to another. Prime teaching time. Just make it fun.
What's the 90 minutes?
You can go onto teaching strategies. They are spendy. I want to say they're like maybe $60 for a set. And that could possibly be. I know I got some free ones one time. I saw them online somewhere. There's like maybe 10.
I mean, you get like an entire box if that's what this purchase. But I'm sure that you could find several popular examples if you were to.
Mm-hmm.
And they go down to like, it'd be similar to like
You would probably have to request.
Finger Place.
Yeah.
Like an example of one that might do.
Or I'm thinking, things like for older kids, I'm thinking of an animal that is furry and it rhymes, if they know rhymes with log. The animal barks. It is a dog. So just different things like that.
The other day we did I Spy. How they were little.
Mm-hmm. With little ones, they love to wiggle. So just kind of copycat. I used to do let's play copycat just for fun. Let's copy. And I'd say a name. She's the one. Whatever she does, we'll do the same because that's how you play the copycat game. And then I'd say the person's name, and then they would do a motion. Okay, everybody's got to copy that motion. Good job. Let's play copycat just for fun. Let's copy another person. He's the one. And just keep on. I mean, it keeps them like, I want to be it. I want to be it. Okay, we got to wait. Here's an example of a 5-point timer. One person had a glove with a clock in the middle. Another person, and it might be in one of the pictures too, had the 5 points, the 5 numbers. I like to use more like smiley faces, whatever. And then they had the actual activity that comes next in the center of the glove. So just different ideas. If you have a child that's maybe a hard to handle kid, whatever they're into, I had one little guy that was really into monster trucks. So we made a bunch of monster trucks was a 5-point timer. It just depends. Kind of go with what they might be into. Here's an idea of a transition to center time. So this is a video.
Spray her down. Spray art.
I did not.
This is my pay hour because it's cheap to me.
I did not slide. You got it downward.
We'll see. Okay, I gotta find it first. And then the computer, there's going to be grandma and me on the computer. Spring gonna like go all the way around. Round and round and round and round. And where it stops, not nice. Okay. What are you going to do today, Victoria? Round and around. What will you do today? You want that? I want that. What would you like to do? Only you can do. I'm going to take them off. I'm going to study table, a super what else? And classmate. And a computer, and one more. Science center. Science center. Good girl.
me that they used a hula hoop and they had a piece of tape or something. And so when they were choosing what work centers they were going to play in, it was round and round it goes. No, when it stops, nobody knows, or where it stops. Anyway, and then the child got to choose. Were they all engaged? Mm-hmm. Was it fun while they were waiting their turn? What were they learning? Taking turns, yeah. Yep, waiting for a friend to get done so they can have their turn. This is using a visual and a sand timer. Here's another turn-taking visual. Children, when they wanted to do something, they would put their name up next, and then whoever's name is at the top, it would be that person's turn. And then the next ones would move up. This is also a visual to use. I think we saw this before, but it's a visual prop. And it's kind of nice. When it's time to line up, you can hold up cards and say, okay, you go find the blue one or the green one or the one with the number 5 or the shape of a triangle, whatever it is, that's how you can have them line up. Does that make sense? They know where to go because they can see the footprints. This is a transition with a choice. Do you want to line up on the black foot or the blue foot? If they know their colors. If they know their numerals, do you want to line up on number 7 or numeral 2? Here's a transition to a center with necklaces. They just go and choose a necklace of the center that they want to go to. And here's a couple of songs. Are you guys familiar with the Wiggles? So there's that one, and then there's the cleanup song. We're going to take a vote. Which one do you want to listen to? We don't have time for both. Cleanup? All right, that's what I heard.
Time to clean up, everyone. Let's pick up our things.
And these are just YouTube videos you can find.
Clean up, everybody clean up, clean up. Everybody clean up, clean up. Everybody clean up, time to clean up. Pick up, everybody pick up, pick up. Everybody pick up, pick up. Everybody pick up, time to pick up. Pick up the toys, put them away. Pick up the blocks, put them away. Pick up the books, put them away.
See how kids,
Throw things away.
if you were to show this ahead of time or sometime kind of like a pre-teaching,
The blocks, put them away. Pick up the books, put them away. Put your things away. Clean up.
you guys get the gist of it, right? Okay. This was cleanup song for children, kindergarten, and preschool. But even if they didn't see the visual, could you pull it up on your phone? Those of you that have phones, you just pull up the song, maybe record it somehow, and maybe it's a copyright issue, but I doubt it because it's on YouTube. So I'm sure you could record it and just have it be your cleanup song if you don't already have one. All right, so we've got large group, we've got small group. We kind of know what to do with transitions. When you see children doing the right thing, when you see them transitioning appropriately, when you see them engaging appropriately in large groups and small groups, then let them know that they're doing it right. So many times we focus our attention on when they're not doing it right, when they're doing the inappropriate thing. We need to shift it. Give them those thumbs up, give them the smile, give them the wink, praise them, and be specific. Wow, guys, 9 out of 10 of you, as soon as the cleanup song was over, you had your stuff ready to go. Another thing, and I don't know why it works, but it works. When I would ready for kids to come to group time, I would say, I see 3 good listeners on the floor. Yeehaw! I see 3 good listeners on the floor. I see Aiden and Kelly and Jack. Oh, whoa! And Sally and Joey. Now there's 5 good listeners on the floor. And we just keep on going until pretty soon everybody wanted to be, because everyone wants to be recognized and have their name. So by the end, I mean, that's hard on me because I have a hard time with names anyway. So then going with, I'll trying to say all those names fast because I'm kind of a slow talker. It's just, but it's fun. They love it. So give them that positive feedback. It's powerful when it comes to getting others to do what you want them to do. Research shows that you can improve behavior by 80% just by pointing out what somebody does right. 80%. Would you like your husband to do something a little 80% more than what he already does? My children, when my son was in high school, you know how sometimes you go home and you kind of practice on your own kids? I did this to my son. And I'm like, wow, Luke, I just really, really appreciate how you are helping me in the house and how you're cleaning up your area down here. I said, you just have taken a load. He's like, yeah, no problem, Mom. And he knew I had just been to a workshop the day before. And then he's like, wait a minute. Are you using child psychology on me? I'm like, maybe. But yeah, it totally works. So transition troubles. Do you have transitions in your classroom that are kind of troublesome? Parts of your day that it's like, What I want you to do is I want you to pull out the sheet and I want you to write that part of your day down here. You can use this for other parts of your day too. You can put your whole daily schedule, but just what I want you to do is really think about that difficult transition time. And let's look at the example that's up here. So for example, arrival. If I'm really being intentional about my transitions, what can I think about that a transition activity that could make, what's the transition activity for arrival? So it would be you're checking the name, putting in how am I feeling today in the container. The skill that you're trying to focus on is that name recognition or emotional literacy. That's a skill. And then the way I'm going to promote it, I'm going to say, wow, I see you found your name all by yourself. Nice job. I'm so proud of you. Or, wow, I see you're feeling pretty proud today. Tell me why you're proud. If I'm wanting to get to that emotional literacy. So put your troublesome transition time and think of, forget this page, just put the transition, like what happens before the transition, or however you want to do these two, that's kind of confusing. Put something there and then think, what could I teach the children during that transition?
From one activity to the next. Is that your transition?
Yeah. Give an example. Let's do yours. Let's try to do yours together. I think this is not the page that I wanted. It's because this is too confusing. I have a different one that I've used before. What's your transition that is kind of troublesome for you?
That's one of them.
So after lunch, tell me what happens after lunch.
Well, you know, take them off the bathroom. Both sides, so it's kids that are moving.
So how many kids are we talking?
12 on one side, 30 on the other.
So you've got 42 children trying to use 2 toilets at one time? 4 toilets, so 42 children trying to use 4, taking turns for that. So thinking about that, what can we do differently? How can we have them be engaged during that toileting time?
Well, what we try to do is just keep them at the table, you know, and we call them to the bathroom. And
That's the thing, I heard about this, the towers, but when you cover them, yeah.
Yeah, except to sit in the booster seats until they call.
And that's a long wait.
Yeah.
42 children, because when I'm finished eating, when my husband's finished eating, he doesn't wait for me to finish. He's like, okay, we're done. You take too long to eat, is what he's thinking. I know. And he's done. If he were to have to sit and wait for me to chew my food 20 times for each bite, it would drive him absolutely crazy. Are you seeing behavior problems during that time?
Yes. Yeah.
So what can we do differently? What can happen?
Or whatever.
I
I mean, that's what I think we need to do.
That would help.
40 hours a year.
That you're changing your times of your day. That would help a lot.
I do it now.
Well,
Yeah,
it's up
because
to
they
the
were all
table.
just fine.
It's easier. I think it's easier.
Waiting for down. Well, see, that's a school that started, you know, that we were just calling and have
Mhm. Are they all going to the bathroom? Or are they washing their hands, or what? Or both? What could you have them do at the table while they're waiting for their turn to be called? What's that? Could they help clean up after themselves? Can they help put their food, take their tray to something, and then sit somewhere and everybody sing some songs while they're waiting? These 4 can go, oh, we're so happy you're back. Now we're going to do some more songs.
But like, what about the toddlers?
This is what I'm thinking, like for toddlers.
Oh, okay.
What about when there's like a cupboard and things? What do we do?
Can you use for those kids that are covered in peanut butter? Can they have like their own wipes and start cleaning up? And I know you're going through extra stuff. No.
We were there for a while. We were doing, preschool kids that were going to go downstairs, you know, in the afternoon if they went first. You know,
Are the lunches impossible to let them eat earlier?
that's what I
Yeah,
was saying.
even
If we
like 10
stagger-
minutes
if we
is enough.
stagger lunchtime.
Staggering lunch sounds like the best.
10 minutes.
Yeah, to help with.
And there are so hungry the toddlers that you could.
That we could actually feed them
Yeah.
first.
That's
But
a good
then we
idea.
always found out
But
too.
the
there are
problem is
hospitals
there is
along.
it still takes them so long because they're still.
Yeah, we're gonna have a cut out.
And then you just need to rock. And then we can push the other one in.
But we can't on our side, we have 20 dots over there.
But if we just eliminate the elimination of the toddlers, now that's 11 to 12, 13 kids. That if they're not fighting for that bathroom, and putting pull-ups on and that might work.
It's something that, I mean, definitely conversations to keep talking about, thinking about how can I just adjust my schedule, because I want to reduce for sure the wait time, because wait time when kids are not engaged, they're going to find something to do.
We have teachers at the tables, you know, and I think we just need to really engage the kids that are at the table. But that's what I'm saying. If we let the toddlers eat first, and then like these people say, you know, if you push 4 cots away, they could come and sit at the. But you know, they're tired and they're still cranky.
Mhm. So I love what I'm hearing. You're thinking. You're thinking, what can we do in the environment, our schedule, whatever? How can we change it? How can we keep the kids engaged? I want you also to think about, have I taught them what they're supposed to do? Have I taught them the behavior expectations? And are the expectations developmentally appropriate? Am I expecting a toddler to sit and wait for 10 minutes when an adult can't even sit and wait for 10 minutes? So if not, what can I do to keep them engaged? When you see them doing the right thing, how can I promote it? How can I say, whoa, wow, I could tell you were really wanting to use the bathroom, but you waited, or whatever it is. Thank you so much for keeping your hands to yourself so the peanut butter stays on your hands and off of the table. Just whatever it is, praise and be specific on that. Think about those individual children that might need support. How can I support them during that transition time? And then reinforce the concepts that you've been teaching or working on. So this was the activity that we kind of were doing, but we're not. We did it. It's just something I want you to look at. Think about your day. Be intentional with your transitions. When you intentionally strive to make your classroom program proactive and positive and supportive, then you're intentional about planning for your transitions. Remember to give kids a cue before those big transitions starts, especially like cleanup or a big change you have to come in from outside. The ones that they're really having fun in and you're going to have to say it's time to stop, give them that 5-point warning, that 5-point timer. Be clear and consistent and teach the children the developmental expectations for that transition. Try to limit how many transitions you have a day. If you find you're going through your schedule, it's like, wow, they're switching activities like 15 times a day. And each activity, I mean, each transition's taking at least 3 minutes. Wow, that's like 45 minutes a day that they're just standing and doing nothing. Let's see if we can reduce that. And then keep it positive by reminding yourself you might have to individualize for some children, but use your transition time as an opportunity to teach and have fun. Have you guys seen this video? I think we're going to skip it just because there's so much. It is a nice little, actually, no, we're going to skip it. If we have time at the end, remind me. Let's come back and see how we can change the world. All right. Tell me something you remember about relationships. One thing. Somebody blurt it out. This is a quiz time.
Sit down on the level and get eye contact.
Yeah. Get down on their level. Have that good eye contact.
What have relationships can be built all through the day,
Yes. All through the day.
not planned, just automatic.
Yeah. And it should be automatic. Ongoing conversations, those back and forth. Relationships are the foundation for all brain development. Please remember that. It's the most important thing you can do. Build those relationships with your kids. Let you be that one positive person in their life that can, you might be the only person in their life that they can really rely on. So be that person. What does your attitude have to do with relationships?
Of the child. I mean, the child picks up how you are. If you're happy, sad, they're going to pick that up.
Yep. Do they know if you like them or not?
Oh, yes.
Yep. Are they going to work for you if they think that you don't like them? Are they going to do what you ask?
Actually, that was a report that came out not too long ago that one of the best successors in child school success is if they thought their teacher liked them.
Mm-hmm.
They had to perceive that their teacher liked them.
Mm-hmm. And that was absolutely true. Yeah. And I think there's a thing on NPR
Didn't you
about
say
that.
something that one of your children wasn't liked by a teacher,
Mhm.
and yet it steps on to your next chapter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Attitude is everything. So some children are difficult to like. Don't let them know that. Don't let them know that you have a hard time liking them. They know if you're faking it. Really make an effort to find make an effort to find one thing at least that you can love about that child. Because there's something. There's always something. Challenging behavior communicates a message. What is that message? Could be. Could be. Could be. Lots of message. It communicates something. All behavior communicates something. Usually it communicates something I want, or something, some person I want, or something or some person that I want to avoid or get away from. Next bullet. If a child can't behave, what do we do? Who said it?
We teach.
We teach. Yeah, if a child can't swim, we teach. If a child can't read, we teach. Think of behavior the same way. If they're having a hard time managing their behavior, that's okay. They just haven't learned yet. It's my job to teach. This next one is going to be kind of tricky. Supportive environments are 4 things. Safe, accessible. I use this next one a lot tonight. Engaging and
Preparation.
not preparation. Happens over and over and over. It's very, who said it? Predictable.
Predictable.
Yep. They're safe, accessible, engaging, and predictable. Is there one thing that you guys have done differently because of what you've learned so far?
I mean, I asked more questions.
Okay.
You know, especially with our older kids.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just saying, do this.
We got 2 little
Yeah,
ones that
Because
come early in
we
the
have 3 levels. We have our toddlers, our preschoolers, and junior school kids. So I mean,
Okay. So you're talking more, you're asking more questions.
Yeah.
Getting to know them, or are they more like?
just, I just noticed one today. I mean, he was just off on his own, and he's normally engaged. And, you know, come here. You know, what's really going on today? You know, and just finding out what was wrong.
So you took time to
Instead of
notice his
just-
behavior. Yeah, and gave him that extra. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, like, we've got 2 little guys that are just pacing around, turning around. And after our first meeting, we got their attention and sat down with them, thought we'd do something else. They've been really, really good ever since. Yeah, just-
And doesn't that make you feel good to
Yes.
know that you've helped them? Yeah.
And in a daycare setting, preschool, toddler, whatever, there is something that they will want to do with you. That seems, no matter what it is, you can play with them. And that stops that constant running around.
Yeah. If you just place yourself in an area, they will come. Anything else that you've done differently? How about this table? Have you guys done anything differently because of something that you heard with PBIS so far?
I ask less task-oriented questions, and I do more what was referred to at the Center as narrating. More narrating.
So kind of that self-talk, or
Right.
I see that you're,
Right.
yeah, describing what they're doing. And when you're describing what they're doing, sometimes it just lends itself to them. Oh, well, yeah, they give more. Good.
I have more student choice interest. More student choice involved.
Nice. Because what does choice tell children? When you give them choices, what does that tell them? They matter. Yeah, you're giving, you trust them to make a decision, and whatever decision they make, you trust that it's okay. Yeah, and they feel that power. When they're always told what to do, it makes us feel powerless. That's weird. Okay, let's take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about directions. So now we're going to talk about giving directions. Did you know that research shows that children have high rates of not following teachers' directions?
Really? This might be.
Really?
Really?
Are you surprised? It could be because of characteristics that individual children may have, or groups of children, specific children. It might be because of the way we give directions, and it might be other reasons. So we're going to look at some strategies that increase the likelihood that children will follow the directions that you give. So when we give directions, we want to make sure we get their attention, right? When everybody's looking at me, we get to do the next activity. When everybody's looking at me, we get to do the next activity. Good job.
So you're not paying attention.
But do you see how easy that was? I didn't have to call anybody out, and you just use your body. And yeah, we're not picking on you. It's just, thanks for being my example. You want to get down on their level, give them eye contact, make sure that everybody has your attention. Minimize the number of commands that you give. So many times we give way too many commands. Okay, boys and girls, we're going to go out for recess, so I need you to line up and put your backpack over there. No, put this piece of paper, put it right there, and then
Don't forget, no touching.
yes. And we're giving all of these things, and children can only hear like maybe 2, maybe 3. That's pretty much it. You want to minimize. If you need to individualize using gestures or visuals, individualize it for that child. Whole group directions might not work for everybody. They will for most, but sometimes you'll have to be more specific and say, have them repeat. I might say, Judy, can you tell Sally what the directions are? Sally, did you hear what she said? Yep, that's what we need to do. We need to line up and Put your hands in your pockets or whatever it is that you're asked them to do. Be clear and give choices when it's appropriate. When would be a good time to give a choice on a direction? Any ideas?
What color would you like to use?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe what color paper you want? These
Yeah.
are the choices you have.
Yeah, we're going to color pictures today. What color of paper would you like to color on? You're not giving them the option to not follow your direction. You're giving them the option to choose something. It's time to line up. Do you want to hop or run? Well, maybe not run. Do you want to hop or walk backwards? You're not giving them the option, because if you say it's time to line up, go line up, and they're thinking, I'm going to push it. Somebody told me. But if you say, okay, it's time to line up, do you want to hop or do you want to walk backwards? And if they still say, I want to something else.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it just depends on the kid. Yeah.
I don't understand where our kids don't understand when we tell them to go and get their coat and come back. Simple. Get your coat and come back.
But by the time we go from
By
one
the-
to the other, they might.
They've lost
gotta
it from
be
the
out
time that they've got their coat of what they're supposed to do, and it's, how can we make it simpler? Put into a different room for one
You want to
thing,
be out there.
and they might
And all
meet some of their
Oh,
friends. a
It's
little
out
bit.
in a different room. They have to go out.
Yeah, I mean.
A little.
Okay.
Oh, you've been to.
No, but it's like, you've heard the thing, once you cross a doorway, you forget.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And
what it
then
is.
when you
Okay.
come back in, then you can remember what you're supposed to do. That's why a lot of us, it's like, oh, what was I supposed to be doing? And then you retrace, and once you go through the doorway, you kind of remember. If they have to go out the doorway,
That's good.
maybe that is part of it. And visuals will
What
help.
were you supposed to do? And you go, come right now.
Well, maybe
What
that's
are you
the
doing
time
out there?
that we always had an adult out there
We
first.
do.
We do, but it's so, I mean, that was like,
Kids.
And the visual, I think, would help. Practice. All right, we're going to practice getting our coats and coming back.
that's when it gets to the point where-
Yes, absolutely. And we want to keep it positive. A lot of times we tell children what not to do instead of what to do. And when they hear what not to do, what sticks in their mind is the thing you told them not to do. That's what sticks in their mind. So don't run becomes, you just said run, now I have to. Yeah. Instead of saying don't run, say walk. And then when you reinforce it, it's like, oh, wow, thank you for using your walking feet. Appreciate that. That keeps us safe. That keeps you safe. So let's do a few of these. Can you guys see that okay? Probably not. Okay, let me try to get it a little bit bigger. Can you see it better now?
Yeah.
Do I need to go one more bigger? Okay, that's better. So don't run. Instead, we say walk.
Please.
Yep, walk, please. How about stop climbing? What could we say? Yeah, tell them what to do. I heard this a long time ago. Supposedly, children don't understand the concept of not when you're telling them what not to do until they're the cognitive age of 8. So when you're saying don't do things, then they're not hearing it until they're 8 years old of what they're not supposed to do. Don't touch. What can we say? What does that look like? Okay. So as long as you tell them what a nice touch looks like.
Or we give hugs.
Give hugs. What if you don't want them to touch this? Keep your hands to yourself. Gentle touches, soft touches. And if there was something I actually didn't want him to touch, I probably wouldn't have it in there. Because why do you want to set him up for failure?
I do have like some red tape on the floor that goes around my smart board, just because it's a piece of equipment that if it were damaged, that would be an expensive thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this red tape on the floor is no-go zone.
And that's perfect. And you teach them where their body is supposed to be in regards to that tape. When they see the tape, their body stays on this side of the tape. And you tell them why. Yeah. How about no yelling? Quiet voices. Inside voices. Tell them what that looks like. I have a scale that I like to use, a 5-point scale or 4-point, 5-point, whatever you want it to be, that shows them what it looks like. There might be one in here. Okay. How about stop whining?
Use your voice.
I'm using my voice.
You're big boy or big
I'm
girl
a
boy.
big girl.
Not when you talk like that.
Whining hurts my ears.
So
I knew that would come. I was hoping that's what you were going to say.
this is the hard one, because when we say use your big girl or big boy voice, sometimes people interpret that as a put down. Oh, you're calling me a baby.
Whining you are.
We have a little boy in one of my classrooms that I work with, and he started whining. He's got a lot of things going on at home right now, and he started whining, and it's just really grating on the teacher, and he's got some developmental delays as well. And so we came up with this little kind of a chant, and we're going to put it into a book, and it's, when we talk, our words are short. When we whine, they're long. So he can hear it and kind of see it in the book. So it's like, we use short words. I don't know if that would work.
Happy words. I don't know.
I used to do that. I don't listen, but that's not telling them what to do. That's telling me what I'm going to do. I would just say, just talk. That's called whining. Just talk. That's, yeah.
It does hurt your ears though.
Oh, that's my hot button, the whining.
Oh.
It's definitely mine. So I get it. How about don't stand on the chair?
Please
Feet on the floor.
Feet on the floor, please sit.
We sit on chairs.
We sit on chairs. No coloring on the wall.
Use paper plates.
Use paper. What did you say?
Crayons are for paper.
Crayons are for paper. How would you reinforce that?
Piece of paper.
But when you see, I meant when they're doing the right thing, when you see them doing the right thing versus always pointing out the negatives. When you see them coloring on paper, what could you say?
Oh, I see you chose paper today.
Yeah.
Good job.
Very
Nice
good
job. I'm so
job.
proud of you. Thanks for keeping our custodians happy. Don't throw your toys.
Toys are for playing, not throwing.
We play with toys. Yeah, play with toys. What about a ball?
That one is we throw our balls outside, not in the house.
Okay. So, and again, just let the kids know what your rules and expectations are. Inside the classroom,
We roll it on the floor.
we roll. Yeah. Yeah, kind of like maybe, yeah. I don't know how deep I would go into it, but it's like toys have jobs too. Let's let them have their jobs. maybe. I don't know. That was kind of weird, but stop playing with your food. Food's for eating.
You must be done eating when you're playing with your
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't don't play in the water or the sink. Let's say sink. Don't play in the sink. What could we say instead? Mhm. Yep.
Here to wash now.
Yep. Ooh, keep the knot off. We're here to wash.
Okay.
We wash here. This is for washing. No biting.
There we go. Okay. I'm ready. I'm all ears for you.
No biting. What's that?
Biting is for food.
We bite food. Yeah.
Use your words. If you're upset, use your words.
Use your words.
And it's 18 months now. Now what do you do? He's not understanding just what you just said.
We bite food. And sometimes with little ones like that really have that need to bite, I give them a replacement. So there's those like teethers or a biting toy, a chewy. I would say you can bite this or food at lunchtime, whatever. And I said the no, like no bite people. No, that hurts. You have happy teeth, bite this.
Just coming across this one, I haven't seen this.
In
happen
that,
to us
remember
for a
when I
long
told
time.
you in all of those activities, that website I gave you last time, and there's those backpack connections, there's one there on biting. So that would be a good one for you guys and for the family too. Last one, don't spit.
It stays in your mouth.
Yeah. But
Yep.
there again, you're talking to an 18-month-old.
Yeah.
Until that 18-month-old not spit.
Can they, do you have a toilet nearby? Okay, so here's a weird situation. I had a very challenging niece. And she was really one of those hard to manage kids. And she picked her nose all the time.
Oh God, I know.
Drove me crazy. And when she would come visit me, it would drive me crazy because her finger was always in her nose and her fine boogers everywhere. And so finally I just said, and I'm not going to say her name, I'm like, you know what? I see you really like to pick your nose. Come here, come here. And I had a bathroom under the stairs by the playroom. And I said, if you need to pick your nose, you can pick it in here, put that booger in a Kleenex and throw it in the toilet. Okay. And so when I'd catch her with her finger up her nose, oh, hurry, hurry, come on, let's go to the bathroom, let's go to the bathroom. Catch it, quick, get your booger, stick it in the toilet. Yay, nice job. I am so proud of you. And then that's what she always did from that. Yes, she stopped.
We got ideas now.
So maybe like with the spitting, oh, quick, catch it in a Kleenex. Spit stays in a tissue, Kleenex or whatever, and then we throw it away.
As we're doing something else, and the fingers goes like, would you please go wash your hands? They have to go wash their hands, and but because you're gonna wash your hands. I know.
And they get tired of washing their hands because it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They get tired of washing their hands. They go up there, stream it right on down to their mouth.
Well, what about the spitting thing?
Some of them know them, and then they'll let them, you know.
They're intentionally spitting because they know it gets you. Is that what? Or are they drooling?
Yeah. Is it like a verbal, like, you're not speaking anything? No, they're like making noises and bubbles and kind of things. So that's very much a sensory kind of thing.
I like your idea about booger though.
Well, you know,
If nothing else, you have a booger idea.
I mean, that's just a drip. That got them up off their seat and they got to go and wash their hands. And they came back
And it was right back up there.
but I like that about making it more of
They'll all want that because they get to leave the room.
Yeah, see, no matter what, it's leaving the room or it's, yeah, I just.
And if you have a booger basket, maybe just have a booger basket in the middle of your circle time. Does it have a Kleenex box? And it's like, oh, so you guys need to pick your nose.
I work at
I don't know. That was like fingernail on the chalkboard number 2.
Put a tissue over your finger and jail. Then take it to the garbage. But don't just take your finger. Put your fingernail to touch your inside your nose.
Right, and they don't get the whole germ thing. We can tell them about germs as much as possible, but they just don't make that connection.
Tissue over your finger.
All right. So if you guys go to your folders, you'll see all of the answers in a handout called Putting It All Together. And it has all of that, instead of saying these things on the left, it gives you examples of what you can say in the middle. And then on the right, it gives you how you can reinforce that verbally, what you can do so children know, oh yeah, I did it. I hope I have it in there. I thought I did. Okay, it might be on the right side. Looks like this. It's on the left?
No.
Oh.
I said not on the phone.
Oh. Oh. Like this?
In the right side.
So next, this is one of the other things we wanted to get to tonight, the thing that I couldn't remember at the beginning. We want to make sure that we have program-wide expectations, and we want to have rules within our classrooms. So some people have like program-wide expectations would be safe, be respectful, be responsible. That is throughout your whole center, throughout your whole preschool program. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 preschool programs, everybody uses those same expectations. And we're going to look a little bit about what's the difference between an expectation and a rule. Rules with this next one, it says we keep ourselves safe by washing our hands, using walking feet, sitting in our chair. That is one way to show that we're being safe, which is one of their this program's expectation. So expectations versus rules. This has a star, so it might be something you want to remember. Expectations are broad concepts. They're characteristics that we want to instill inside of our children. There's just a few, maybe 3 to 5. They're always stated in a positive format, not negative. They're memorable, so they're kind of short and sweet, 3 to 5, memorable, catchy a lot of times, and they can go across context. We can have these broad expectations in the lunchroom, in the gym, outside, in our classroom, in the bathroom. If they were be safe, be responsible, be respectful, we can do that everywhere. Rules, on the other hand, they're aligned with the expectations, and they're specific. They're by different areas. Someone might have to open the door for, oh, no, it's open. They're specific for the activity, and there's just a few of them as well. Hey, Keisha. They're clear, they're measurable, you can see them, so you can see if children are following the rules or not, and they're able to be modeled. You can't always model an expectation, but you can model a rule. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into that. So behavior expectations are those characteristics or those qualities that we want to instill in our children. They're created and they're implemented by the staff, and they're center-wide. They are not rules. So, and I don't know if you can see this one. This one has 5 of them. Earn your wings. Choose respect, act responsibly, be ready to learn, do your best, show character, and fly. They're the cards, the cardinals. So that's an example of expectations. This one is hand. Just some catchy little way to remember it. Have respect, act responsibly, need to be safe, do your best. Broad characteristics, broad qualities that we want to instill in our kids. So if your broad qualities were be respectful, be responsible, and be ready, in this classroom, in this training session, to be respectful, I want you to be an active listener. That means one of us is just talking at a time. I want your electronic devices put on silent or mute. And I would like everyone's contributions to be acknowledged and considered worthy. That's one of my expectations I have of you. To be responsible, I would want you to participate in the learning activities. If you brought a laptop, I only want you to use it when I ask you to. And I want you to take care of your personal needs whenever you need to. It's being responsible for yourself. To be ready, I want you to be here on time. I'm going to start on time, end on time, hopefully. When I say we're going to take a 5-minute break, I want you to return back in 5 minutes. Complete tasks between activities, reflect on strategies, develop an action plan for your classroom, work as a team to develop your action plan. These would be examples of expectations that I would have of you. So the broad expectations, and then I'm a little more specific, okay? So why do we use program-wide expectations? Because it's a positive way, and it puts a focus on something we want to be, something we want to instill, something we eventually want children to be able to do. It's kind of like the beginning part of a rule structure. It creates that supportive environment. If I want kids to be safe, responsible, and respectful, if that's what I chose, then when they would do something, like for example in my classroom when I had the kids that were hitting and kicking and spitting and doing those things, I'm like, guys, remember, here, this is a safe place. My job is to keep you safe, and your job is to keep each other safe. When we're hurting each other, we're not safe. And I know I just use not, but it's hard not to use not sometimes. Being respectful. I'm respecting your space. If that's something that you're playing with, I need to ask you. I can't take that because that's yours. That's being respectful. And we give them examples of what that looks like in different settings. It's supportive. We're not punitive. We're supporting. We're setting ourselves up for this amazing program. It allows more time for engaging with children and less time managing inappropriate behaviors. If we have those broad expectations and you teach them to the kids, it's going to take some time up front, but eventually you're going to minimize the overall time that you're going to save from those dealing with inappropriate behaviors. It provides that common language. We're all using it in our whole center. Everyone's using the same words. So think about your center. You'll have time here in a little bit thinking about it. What do I want our broad expectations to be? I think you guys already have them. What is yours?
Hinton's are be safe, be responsible, be respectful, and be prepared.
And be prepared. And so then you develop rules based on those.
Right. And we just had to submit our student of the month, and then you give a short blurb of why that student demonstrates, those are called Black Hawk Code expectations, how that student demonstrates the Black Hawk Code.
Nice. And so then again, they're getting recognized for their positive behavior. When you create your program-wide expectations, best case scenario is you gather input from your staff, from your parents, and if you have administration, from your administrators too. Or you can have a small group, but just have people from each one of those. A lot of people don't include parents, but think what that would mean to parents if you did. Hey, we're looking for some volunteers to, we're going to develop our program-wide expectations. Would love a volunteer to come join us Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. You may or may not have some that join, but.
During parent conferences, we had a handout that kind of explained PBIS in a way, and during conferences, I took like a minute to basically explain. We want to recognize and reinforce the positive behaviors that we want to see, and so we're focused on the positive behaviors. That's basically what this means.
Nice. So you're sharing with the parents what that means. Perfect. And that's just what the third bullet is. Share your expectations with your families. When it says operationalize it, that's kind of what I did when I said these are the behaviors I expect of you in the classroom or in this training session. That was me operationalizing it, telling you what it looks like for this setting. If I were to do it in a large, like if I was had kids with me and it was circle time, I would say in circle time, to be safe, we sit on our bottoms. We make sure that our bodies are only touching ourselves, so we're keeping ourselves safe. To be respectful, again, making sure that I'm listening when the teacher's talking, that I'm taking turns and making sure I'm only talking when I'm given permission to talk. And what's the other one? Whatever the other one was, the example. But just kind of say what that looks like. Put it in words and show kids what that looks and sounds like. So here are some examples. On the left, be safe, be respectful, be a team player, be kind, be honest. See how positive they all are? Be responsible, take care of our school, be fair, work together, help each other. Look at the ones on the right. Why is use walking feet a non-example?
Sometimes we don't use walking feet.
Right, that can't be across settings. Sometimes we have to run. We can do that if we're outside. If the broad expectation is, that's more of a rule. It's not an expectation. Yeah. Same with, why is don't hit? Why is that not an expectation? Yeah, it's put in a negative way of talking. And it's, yeah, I mean, are there times when you can hit? You can hit a ball. If you're really angry and your teacher said in our classroom, we can hit a pillow, that's okay. Sit on your bottom. Why is that a non-example?
Because they need to stand up.
Right. You can't sit on your bottom the whole day. No talking. Same thing. We have to talk. Inside voices.
Sometimes you need loud, proud voices, or sometimes you need slow voices.
Yeah. Yeah. These ones on the right are either too specific, they're more like rules, or they're put in a negative. So we have to always use positive and remember their broad characteristics.
It's good for them to know the examples because they grew up to big people who have to be very safe.
Yeah. And we want to have the best citizens. And what we do from now, especially through age 5, up to age 5, that's when their brains are growing the most rapidly. And that's when they are learning so many values And values are changing. Again, guidelines. Develop 3 to 5 general expectations. Keep them developmentally appropriate and applicable to both the children and the staff. If you're telling children to be safe, be responsible, be respectful, then they need to see you being the same. Post them visually in the classrooms, in common areas, bathrooms, lunchroom, whatever you decide, whatever little picture or acronym you're going to use, kids will learn that, yes.
Okay, so I have a conceptual problem with this for non-readers. How do you provide a picture of respect? How do you provide a picture of responsible?
I would show, for respect, I would have just a visual of like maybe a gentle touch or somebody looking up to an older person and show, when I say respect, this is one example of respect, but it's not the only example. So when they would see that picture, they would know, oh yeah, be respectful. It's just kind of a trigger. What was the other one? Be
safe, be respectful, be responsible, be
So like be responsible would be like, you could show somebody cleaning up, putting something away. I would do like one little, when it said operationalize it, pick one little picture that would operationalize it in their head and make it stick, but then you could talk about other different ways and show them all the other different ways. But I would have one picture that would hopefully trigger that so they could remember it. And a lot of times,
all throughout the school are the expectations, the words, but it's like, how do you put for non-readers
right,
a picture of you?
For respect, I'm thinking an elderly person.
I was just gonna say, just
Yes.
taller and a shorter person.
Yeah, or even an elderly person in a wheelchair
Yes.
to show some differing abilities too, or maybe a child. And I don't know, just showing that you're talking and you're, I don't know.
What about say like a stop sign and something?
Whatever you can come up with that would show, show safety, show that they're stopping at a stop sign, looking both directions would be an example.
I mean, we talk about it in the classroom all the time, but as far as the signs that are in the classroom, they're not really much of
They're not meaningful because they trigger nothing except letters.
It's not symbolic.
Right.
I mean, but we specifically talk about, how are we being respectful or how are we being safe? Or, we talk about what it looks like to be those things. But the picture of the expectations don't provide any kind of bridge or reminder.
What if you ask the kids, what does being safe look like? If you were to draw a picture, what could we draw? And then maybe choose one of their drawings to be that.
Ask the school kids to draw.
Oh yeah, there you go. To have the art class or something like that, maybe older kids.
Yeah, just, a day that they stay inside and just ask the kids to draw what they feel.
No,
we got some
I
drawings.
understand, having that be represented in several different places, but if they're not reading it, how
Exactly. There is, I'm not sure if it's, okay, here's some pictures. So here's some pictures of them. Here's a be safe.
There you go.
Here's a be respectful. And there's a be helpful. Here's a take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of your school, take care of your world. So when you're teaching those expectations, we teach them to everybody, not just the ones that we're having trouble with. We're teaching them to everybody. We're teaching them in the actual settings where things occur. We're using words and we're using actions because we want, again, students to have that predictable, oh yeah, that's right, I'm safe here, I'm respectful here, I'm a team player here. You want to just have that social, I love coming here feeling. So when we're teaching expectations, we introduce it. We have visuals. We intentionally teach it. We try to embed it. It's like, oh guys, you lined up. Oh my goodness, you're keeping, I just said not. You're keeping your hands to yourselves. I am so proud of you. How respectful of you. How respectful to keep your hands to yourself. How responsible. When you guys picked up, that was showing me you were so responsible. Just teach it all the time. And like they say, after breaks, after absences, after a challenging day, on Mondays and Thursdays, and just whenever it works. So now we're going to talk about rules. Rules are different than expectations. What are the rules?
Or specific to an area or a task.
Yeah, exactly. Are they important? Yes. Why?
So you don't have chaos.
Yeah, what would happen if there were no rules on our highways? It would not be safe. It would be chaotic. If we had no rules in society and everybody could do what they wanted and not pay taxes. Yeah.
Just did that.
Yeah, they're important because it keeps us organized, keeps us predictable. They're different than expectations because, just like you said, they're more specific. They're more specific to places and to areas. Kind of similar to expectations, we want to create just a few, make them simple, make them positive for specific parts of your classroom. A lot of people like to involve children in creating the rules. Why do you think they would do that?
I'm more likely to remember them.
And keep them. When I had my group of 15 children and they all had some kind of a behavior or a developmental delay, and that was the group that was, they were a tough group. And that's when I said, guys, we have a problem. And when they came up with all their rules, it was amazing. It worked for me with that group of kids. So we had green plus actions. Can we do this? Can we shake hands? Can we touch gently? And I just wrote, and we would read it every day. They couldn't read, but I wrote it. And sometimes we draw little pictures. Those were green things. We can do these things. These are red X actions, guys. These, not in here. And so one day, we didn't have spitting on our red X actions. And so the tattletale came and said, so-and-so spit on me. And I'm like, let me go see if that's a red X action. So I went through, that's it, not a red X action. Let's talk about that when we have our large group. So we talked about it. Is it safe? Is it whatever? And I said, guys, we had an issue today. We had somebody spit. Is that a green thing? Can we do that here? Or is that a red X? That's a red X. Oh, then, okay, from now on, spitting is red X. Not going to happen here. And so we wrote it on there. They helped create those rules, and it worked for me with that group that year.
What happened to that child?
They didn't. Pretend they did. Okay. So-and-so spit. Okay, let's go check. Is this a red X action? You have to know that was a difficult group. It's a red X action. So then what they had to do is we did what's called a comic strip conversation. And so we drew it out, and it took a lot of time, but I thank God that year I had so many paras because of all the needs in my class. So we drew it out, and it's like, okay, here's Johnny. Tell me what happened. Here's Sally, because those two kids were right there. I said, tell me what happened. Well, he spit on me. So we drew a little picture of the spit coming out. Tell me what happened before that. Well, I took his toy. Oh, you took the toy. And so do you think he was mad? And so we talked it through. Okay, you got to fix the spit, because that was a red X and they had to turn it into a green plus. So they had to do something right. It was a long thing, but they talked it out. They worked it out. They had to make restitution. They had to fix it. And then sometimes we would go practice it again. Okay, let's try that again. We do do-overs. I'm big on do-overs because preschool, we learn here. We're practicing here.
We do charts of green choices and red choices. They have Velcro on them.
Okay.
And we're trying to get a pajama day.
Okay.
And it's been hard.
Okay.
So I had a little chat with them the other day, and they did get like 8 green choices.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's one of them I put up today was working together to get that, because you got certain kids that don't care and don't, and then they're always saying, you guys, we want a green choice, we want a pajama party. So they've got about 12 of them up there now.
Nice. So they're working together to get,
too.
and that's big in here too. And hopefully we'll get to it tonight. Just having those community parties, we're all working together as a team. We all want to get to that prize. It's that building community.
And they'll talk to each other about it too.
Good. Good. We want to reinforce when we see them following the rules. Reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. That means tell them what they're doing right. Tell them you noticed that they are sitting on their bottoms or lining up, keeping their hands to themselves, whatever your rules are. Eye rates, especially when children are new to the classroom, if you have kids rotating in and out a lot, review the rules frequently. They could address these things. They could address the noise level for the activity, how we're supposed to move during that part of the day or in that setting, how we interact with property, how we interact with the adults, or how we interact with peers. They could address any of those. We want to make sure we post the rules visually wherever they're supposed to be. If it's block rules, post your rules for blocks in the block area. If it's how do we line up rules, post it there. If it's bathroom rules, post it there. Lunchroom rules, post it there. Have a picture of each rule in the area. Visuals are so important for kids, so try to figure out a visual that matches your rules. So here's some circle time rules. Not that these are always the best, these are examples from different classrooms. Eyes are looking, ears are listening, the mouth is quiet, helping hands, sit crisscross. It's visual, you put it in your circle time area. Kids can look and see what they're supposed to be doing. If you see somebody not doing something, all you have to do is point. That's not considered a withdrawal if you're just pointing to a visual. Remember we talked about withdrawals and deposits? Thank you. I was going to say additions. More examples. Eyes on who is talking, listening ears, hands in our lap, crisscross applesauce, or straight in front. Other ones? What are the circle time rules? Hands together, quiet sitting, listen to the teacher, listen to the students, raise my hand to speak. Circle time can be fun. More? Look with your eyes, listen with your ears, use nice hands, talk nicely, sit. Do you see how those visuals, you go over the rules? And again, I would do it frequently at first. Whoops. Those are library center rules. In the library, we turn the pages gently. We read books with our eyes. We share books with our friends. This next one is a portable one you could take outside. I know you can't really see it. It looks like the top left one is have listening ears and quiet voices. The next one is use kind words, share your toys, use gentle hands and feet. And then the stop sign, obviously they can turn it around when they need to. Playground rules. Look, wait your turn, nice hands, listen, feet first, climb by the teacher. And there's our be ready, respectful, and safe. Rules for outside. Keep rocks and sand on the ground. Keep sand in the sandbox. See how they're all positive? Mm-hmm. Go down the slide feet first on your bottom. Keep bikes, wagons, and cars safe. Keep superhero games at home. Hallway rules. In the hallway, I will walk, have quiet hands, have a quiet mouth, follow instructions. Or, in the hallway, I will walk, have nice hands, have a quiet mouth, stay on the brown line, listen to my teachers. Should these be posted in the bathroom or the hallway? The hallway. Wherever the rule is, they're going to be followed. That way you can refer to it. Centers with rules. This teacher decided each center has a center label, and then she has visual of either the expectations or the rules within that center. So in the block center, she had, can't read that, walking feet, play together, and there's 4 friends at a time that could play in the block center. The art center, she has just a dot, not a lot, nice hands, and 4 friends. So kids would know how many kids could be in there, and then somewhat of the expectations or rules. We want to have visuals in place and in the view of the children, because they're the ones that need to see it. This is for them. Here's some more examples. They can sit, be quiet, safe hands, almost time. I don't know how that could be a rule, but listen and walk. These are a couple. Sometimes when you're trying to make something really quick for a classroom, they don't look the prettiest. So these are some of my examples. So there's a thing called the Incredible 5-Point Scale. It's a book that you have to purchase. But using that example, and I've seen one since then, and I like it a little bit better than this one. Instead of having a 1, they have a 0. Because 0 means no, nothing. But we're going to use it like it is. So we're going to practice learning this. This is how I would teach it. Boys and girls, and we have a different ways of using our voice. So we're going to practice, and I would point to the number 1, and I'd say, we're going to practice the green number 1 right now. I want you to say your name, but we can't talk. You can just move your lips. Everybody say your own name when I count to 3 without making a voice. 1, 2, 3. Good job. You guys just all said your name. We're at a level 1. Let's go up to the blue 2. This one is called a whisper voice. We use a whisper voice when we're talking to a friend and we're just trying to keep it a little bit quiet, but we still want them to hear what we're saying. So say your name to your friend in your whisper voice when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Brenda. Oh, good job. Now do it again at his level 1. And a 2. Brenda. Oh, good job. You guys are amazing. Sometimes we have to use our talking voice. We call it our normal voice, and that's a level 3. That's a yellow 3. So I want you to say your name to your table friends with your level 3 voice, your talking voice, when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Brenda. Good job. Now I'm going to trick you. I'm going to try to trick you. I'm going to go down to a level 1. Say it in your 1 voice. And your 3 voice. Brenda. And your 2 voice. Oh, you guys are good, but I still have 2 more to go. We have a 4 voice, and it's orange. This is our loud voice. This is the voice that we use when we're outside. The reason it's called our outside voice, because sometimes we like to yell, we like to scream, and we just like to have fun, and that's our loud voice. I'm going to let you do it one time here. Say your name with your number 4 loud voice when I count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Brenda! Good job. Oh, you guys are amazing. We have 1 more voice. 1 more voice. And I call this my emergency voice. I only use it when I really, really am in trouble and I need somebody's attention right now. And this is kind of our really yelling, screaming voice. And we only use it when we need somebody's attention. We're not going to practice this one today. But you could let it, my voice is about shot. But you could do that with kids. You could teach them. I did like the one I saw, and I will try to share that with you if I remember. It has the 0, 1 through 4. I like it better. This one is kind of the same. Nice touches. Level 1. Is it okay to play by yourself? Yeah, and I think I have an example in here that I changed it up a little bit. Yeah, playing by yourself, that's okay. I can play by myself and touch my own things. That's okay. That's a thumbs up. We're okay with that. Can we play beside somebody? Yeah, that's okay. Playing beside somebody, looking at their toys or looking at our stuff, that's okay. A level 2 blue, that's okay to touch people like that or just be beside them. How about gentle touches, a level 3? Is that okay? When I play with somebody, if I give them a gentle touch or we're trading toys, is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. That's a thumbs up. We're okay with that. How about if I hurt somebody's toys or take somebody's things that they made or scribbled on their property? Is that okay? No, we don't do that in our classroom. That's a thumbs down. We want to keep their toys safe. That's their stuff. We want to make sure we're respectful here. How about if I hurt somebody's body? Is that okay? No, it's not okay. We're a safe place here. That's a thumbs down. We can do 1, 2, and 3. Those things are okay here. But the other things, keep them out of our classroom because my job is to keep you safe. And you guys got to keep each other safe too. That's just what we do here because we're safe. We're respectful. We're responsible. Or whatever your big things are. Here's some classroom rules linked to expectations. We keep ourselves safe by washing our hands, using walking feet, sitting on our chairs. The ones on the left, are they rules or expectations? We're gentle, we work hard, we listen, we look after property, we're kind, we're honest. Those are expectations. How about these that says classroom rules? Helping hands, listening ears, quiet voices, looking eyes, or walking feet.
Very
They're-
specific to an activity or a space.
Yeah, and they're kind of like, so when I look at those as classroom rules, I kind of would throw those out really. Because, I don't know, are you always going to use quiet voices? I guess they could be. I guess they could be classroom rules. They're okay. I'm too judgmental sometimes. Didn't we just do that one? Okay. These are in the CEFL website, that's CSEFEL. They have something that's called a book nook. Book nooks. So if you go to that website, you can scroll at the very bottom. There's like an apple and it says for teachers and caregivers. I'll just go to it. I guess I have it connected to the So if you were at the home page, right here where it says for teachers and caregivers, then you can scroll down to where it has book nooks. And the book nooks are lesson plans for you to use with specific books. So they already have some things out. So one of the ones might be Pat Them Gently. So, and it gives you, like, so if you can download this, it's a little book called Pat Them Gently. So if you're teaching rules and it's like, oh, I wonder if there's a book that goes with that. How can I teach it? It's really nice because it says before reading the book, while reading the book, after reading the book, and then it has different activities that you can do. Some of them are longer than others, but it's just they're really nice resources for you guys to use. Here's some other ones that you can look at. Do unto otters, let's share, how do dinosaurs eat their food, the Berenstain Bears forget their manners. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of examples of a rules matrix and then putting your, expectations and rules matrix. So you have your expectations along one side and the rules along the other, or your centers along the other, and then you try to develop your rules within the matrix. So here's one example. In the hallway, to be safe, you have walking feet, you walk behind the teacher. To be kind, you hold hands. Circle time, you sit crisscross on your spot. To be kind, you have your hands down and you listen to the teacher. At snack time, to be safe, you stay in your spot, your hands and feet are to yourself. What do you think you could do for snack time to be kind?
Easy manners.
You could, yeah.
We started doing that. Yeah.
This one says clean your spot and push your chair in. Bathroom, listen to the teacher to be safe. Keep your hands and feet to yourself. To be kind, you use quiet voices and take your turn. So do you see kind of how this goes? Small groups, stay in your spot, share materials. Outside time, to be safe, you keep your hands and feet to self, keep feet on the pedals, stop when friends say stop. To be kind, you share and you take turns. This is another one, another example. So if this one has all the expectations on the left, those are those broad expectations. The natural context or the different settings are across the top. So you can see they have in all settings, they have hallways, they have playgrounds, cafeteria. I don't know what that other one is, assembly, and then bus time. And then within those, you have your rules, and those are, you're given specific behavior examples. So for example, on the playground, to respect ourselves, we have a plan. To respect others, we play safe, we include others, we share equipment. And to respect property, we use equipment appropriately. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Another example. Do you have to have rules in every single spot? It's kind of helpful if you do, but I guess you don't have to. Oops. Here's another one. So what I'm going to have you guys do. Ooh. You have 15 minutes. So this paper that you picked up tonight, it's called your Behavior Expectations and Rules Matrix. I want you to get with your group. You're going to have 15 minutes to just talk about what might be your broad expectations, and you can pick, they have up to 4. You can pick anywhere from 3 to 4, I guess. If you wanted to make another one, you could. So you write your expectations, what you think you might have for your center's expectations. And then as a group, talk about what some of the rules could be like within those expectations. You didn't know what to do? Okay. Any questions? All right. I am going to give you 15 minutes.
Move by the learning station. Will you knock, and I say come in? You open the door and you take a big spin. Slap your heel.
Do it? Yeah.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Second verse is the same as the first. Will you knock, and I say come in? You open the door and you take a big spin. Slap your heels and you slap your knees like you do the head and shoulders with me. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. And eyes and ears and mouth and nose. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. All right, we're going to try some new body parts this time. We're going to start off very slowly. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. And thighs and ribs and lips and teeth. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Will you knock, and I say come in? You open the door and you take a big spin. Slap your heels and you slap your knees. Why don't you do the neck and elbows with me? Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. And thighs and rears and lips and teeth. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. One more time. Will you knock, and I say come in? You open the door and you take a big spin. Slap your heels and you slap your knees. Why don't you do the neck and elbows with me? Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. And thighs and rears and lips and teeth. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Neck, elbows, hips and feet, hips and feet. Knock, knock. Who's there? Ooh.
Oh, good. Another resource for you guys to use if you haven't already seen that one. All right, guys, we have 15 minutes left. We're going to try to clip through these last things as quickly as possible. We're going to learn some teaching strategies for behavior expectations and rules. A lot of these are self-explanatory, things we've talked about. So I'm just going to go quickly. When we're teaching behavioral expectations, define it, provide a rationale, teach it, teach the appropriate way, demonstrate the appropriate way, and then you can demonstrate the inappropriate or the unacceptable, but only adults do that. Because kids sometimes, if you tell them to do it the wrong way, then they think it's funny and then they just want to keep doing the wrong thing. So you can demonstrate it. Let them say, oh, no, that's wrong. Oh, yeah. Can you show me how we're supposed to do it? And then practice telling the difference with multiple examples. If you use puppets are a great way to teach behavior expectations. If a puppet's doing it wrong, now puppet, you know that's, how are we supposed to, and then show them the right way. So we can teach new skills at large group, we can teach it at small group, and we can teach it naturally in the moment, in the activities. We want to make sure that we practice it, we promote it, we're intentional. If we put it in our large group time or in our small group time, and we're actually teaching expectations and rules, you're being very intentional. You're modeling, they're learning it, they're giving opportunities to practice. And then when you see them doing it in the natural settings, then you can also promote it and say, oh, wow, I'm really so proud of the way that you, and then state what you saw them do. We want to model the expectations for the kids. For example, you can say, I'm going to wash my hands before I eat so that I can get rid of germs and stay safe. You can role play. You can do it through songs. You can do it through scripted stories or books. You can do it indirectly. You can have your visuals up there. And you can say, guys, remember, let's check our class rules. Let's check our circle time rules. Let's check the hallway rules. And then you can call children out to do it. Keisha, can you tell me what the rules are for the hall? When we go to the hall, let's check them and make sure we're all doing that. A lot of times, what we tend to do, this is called teachable moments. And this is something that's got a star, which means it's going to be something you want to remember. Let's say, for example, Trudy was at the block area, and she was really playing nicely with blocks. That's what the green arrow is. Frank came over, and he saw Trudy playing with the blocks. Frank decided to take her blocks from her, and resulting in her hitting him because he took the blocks from her. And teacher comes in, and that's when she decides to scold Frank for taking the blocks from Trudy. Is that typically what happens? You see something, somebody's playing, somebody comes up, something happens, and then there's a crisis moment, and that's when teacher comes in, and that's when we're trying to teach. Frank, don't you know that, and there's just a big screaming match. Don't you know you're not supposed to take the blocks? And is that a teachable moment? Say no. No, it's not a teachable moment, because when our emotions are up here, our brains are turned off. When our emotions are up, our brains are, we can't learn that way. So before we can teach that child, Frank, or the little girl who was right there, if she hit, we need to teach her too. Neither one of them can learn if their emotions are too high. We have to get them to calm. When would have been a better time to teach? Well, okay, here's another, well, shoot, did it wrong.
Group time.
Yeah, teach it ahead of time at group. Teach it ahead of time at group. Say, you know, sometimes people come and they want to take your toys. What can we do? Or sometimes you want something that somebody else has. What can we do? This is called asking for a toy, or sharing, or taking turns. You know, demonstrate, model. This actually, if you know that Frank is the type of kid who's going to walk over and take a toy, then a very good time to teach for him, because it's right before it's going to happen. You know it, you see it's going to happen, so you step in and say, hey, Frank, I see that she's playing with some toys. And I bet you're going to want to play with her, right? Do you remember how you can ask to play with a toy? What are some things that you can say? What are some of the, you know, do you want to trade? Do you want to ask for nicely? Be there right then. That's the perfect teachable time. I've been in classrooms before where they have behavior kids. And they're like, I want you to come and watch this kid's behavior. And they know it's going to happen, but they'll say, see, he's playing with toys, and this one's going to go right over, and he's going to kick it over. It's like, then if you know it's going to happen, be there and support the kid. Don't just relish in the moment that all of these bad things are happening. Let's try to help them out. So the best teachable time for that child at that, in this whole curve, is right before when you see him walk in. You have a question?
No, comment. So I have a couple of personalities that tend to not be able to stand by each other with line. So when they can choose where to stand in line, I will remind them, remember to stand next to somebody that you won't have a problem keeping your hands to yourself. If you're not standing, if you're standing next to somebody that's a problem, change your spot now.
That's a good idea. Because it helps them.
Be conscious about
Yeah.
what could happen.
Yeah. Let's keep ourselves safe. Let's keep our friends safe. Let's remember who we can stand by and keep ourselves safe.
But if you think that today is a day that you can stand next to that person and keep your hands to yourself, okay, you can make that choice until you don't make that choice, and then I'll make it for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you just have to, in the moment, you do something and say it and it works, and other in the moments don't work so well. But yeah, that sounds like it's a good one. The very after this last one is like after it's all over and the child has de-escalated and they're kind of back down to calm again. That would be another time when you could teach. Or like you said, teach way before it even happens, like at small group or large group, something like that. But never in the moment. So what are we supposed to do then? When it happens in the moment, what do we do?
Keep the child safe, first of all. Remove them from the situation.
Mm-hmm. Keep them safe, remove them from the situation, try to help them get to calm. And we'll learn this in module 2, validate their feelings. You know what? I understand. You're angry. You're frustrated. I get it. Remember here, we are safe, we're responsible, and we're respectful. We got to stay that way. So let's take our breathing, do our breathing. I'm going to help you get to calm because I want you to get back to your thinking brain. Because that's my job. I'm a teacher. And going to get you there. And then when they're there, oh, I'm so glad you're back to thinking again. I'm so glad we got to calm. And I like to do do-overs. Pretend I'm whatever her name is, playing with the blocks. What can we do instead? Let's practice. And then we practice, and then maybe later we can try it again. We're gonna skip the video. This is talking about anticipating it. If you know it's gonna happen, we know which kids are the kids. So be ready for it. Be in close proximity to that child. Make your presence known. Let them know that you're here to support, and then support them. Be there with those pictures, those visuals, or with the words, and let's try this. Encourage. Wow, you're trying so hard. I can tell you're trying so hard to stay calm. I am proud of you. You used your words. One teacher one time, there was a child who swore. And she said, you know what? I am so proud of you for using your words. I am so proud of you. And it was bad language. And later we found out, because in the past, this kid was destructive. He would punch and hit and kick and throw furniture. But this time he just cussed. So we'll eventually work on that, but know your kids, He used his words. And then promote. Tell them what you see that they're doing right. And this just talks about anticipating, know where the problem areas are, put yourself in that proximity. It doesn't always prevent it from happening, but you're there to support in case it does happen. You prompt the child when you're supporting them, you prompt them to use those strategies. You keep the children learning in the process. If you can keep your voice calm, pretty good chance that they'll stay calm too. When you start screaming and they can see that your face is red because you're so frustrated with them, it's probably a time when you need to take a break and swap off with somebody, because you're just going to heighten them. Encourage them to use their new strategies. Kids need to be encouraged to keep trying. I know this is tough on you. I know, but it's okay. It's childcare. It's daycare. It's preschool. We're here to practice. I'm here to help you. And then promote it. This is something we forget. Promote means reinforce it. Let them know that you caught them doing the right thing and you are so proud of them. High fives, thumbs up, winks. Practice often. Remind kids of the rules prior to the activities. Here's some of those green-red activities. This video we're going to skip as well. This is just one that shows kids practicing the rules inside the classroom, and this is another one using a stop-go. I would have two different ones. This one was flipped. One side was red, one side was green. But when the kids would show the green side, what they were seeing was the red side. So I think if they had one in each hand, it would be better. So the teacher would say, hitting, is this a go activity or a stop activity? And then they would raise the right color. We teach expectations and rules, again, to all students in the actual settings where they occur. Sometimes I use the universal no. And I had the universal no for the whining because that's, but I guess you can't. This one talks about tickets and tokens for young students. K-12, PBIS, they use a lot of tickets and tokens. They're not necessarily appropriate for early childhood. We do more of a community-based or classroom-based things. Never ever, if you give them a ticket or fill a bank for something, if you're doing a classroom-wide reinforcement system, never take them away. Because once they earn them, those are there and they are earned and they need to stay. So never take a token away. These are just some ways. This is how we do it in early childhood. So we develop a system for our whole class to earn those tokens or those tickets. We talked about this before, right? Okay. Give everybody a chance to earn so that everybody can experience that success. We're building a sense of community. We never, ever want to use punishment as a management system. So, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know if anybody uses it, but sometimes teachers have like the stoplight and everybody starts on green, and then you do something wrong and that child is moved to yellow, and then if they do something else, they're moved to red. Don't do that. Instead, we're building, we're acknowledging, PBIS is all about a reframing of our thinking. We're not a punishment system. What we're doing is we're promoting a positive classroom by acknowledging what we see kids doing right. The other way is too much focus on the negative, and it never works for the kids who really need it, because they're the kids on yellow and red. And then everybody's going to know, well, he was on red and she was on red. You know, it doesn't work for the kids it's supposed to help. So reframe it so that everybody is acknowledged when they do the right thing. And these are just some bad examples. We're not going to go through them. You guys can look at them and read them and say, oh my word, people really do that? Apparently. So in PBIS, the key is our attitudes and the behaviors of the adults. That's what we can change. We can change our environment. We can change our attitudes. We can change our behaviors. We can't change a child's behavior. Not really. But hopefully by the way we set up our program, by developing a relationship with them, they will want to change their behavior because they're going to want our new reward, our new acknowledgement. They're going to want that instead of using their old behaviors to get it. Together, We can do it. Here's examples of classroom-wide reinforcements. You guys are doing a pajama party. Other ideas are all on this page. And we definitely want to provide, again, provide that reinforcement when you see kids doing the right thing. This one, the teacher was just acknowledging that the child was doing the right thing. Positive feedback versus praise. Guys, it's 8:30. Do you want to finish this or do you want to start with it next time? Finish it. All in favor of finishing, say aye. Okay, it should only be 5 minutes or less. Positive feedback versus praise. Praise, we think it's a good thing, but it tells children that you're great because of something you did or something you wore. It sets up a pattern of expectations, and just hear me out, hear the difference, and then you can say, oh, I get it, or please tell me more. It sets up that pattern of expectation. Excessive praise may develop dependence upon outside approval. It uses you messages. What a wonderful child you are. You're the best little girl in the whole world. You cleaned your room. It doesn't sound bad, does it? Positive feedback helps a child feel like they belong and they're capable and they're appreciated, no matter what they do. No matter if they do it right or if they do just a little bit of it right. They feel appreciated and part of a belonging community. It encourages, supports, and empowers children to develop confidence in their own abilities versus, I'm good because I colored my picture pretty. I'm great because I did. It's more on their effort. It uses effort messages. It says your effort paid off. For example, instead of saying you're the best little girl in the whole world, you cleaned your room, you could say, your room looks great. You really worked hard to get all your toys put to where they belong. It's hard. It's hard for me because I was on the praise bandwagon and I'm like, well, I thought that was a good thing. But then
still praise.
it's called positive descriptive feedback. Because you're being very descriptive on what you saw them do that they would want to repeat and do again.
So therefore, they never actually have to have their name or them involved in it. It's what they did.
Yeah, you're not giving a subjective message that you're good because you cleaned your room. You're great. You're smart because you did this problem amazingly well. It's more on, you really tried hard. I see you did. It's more descriptive on, it's hard to describe.
It's more genuine.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. It's way more genuine. So it's called positive descriptive feedback. And trust me, I think it's hard to do, but the more I do it, the easier it becomes. So if nothing else, try that this week, giving people positive descriptive feedback. And you can start with your family. It's positive. It's contingent upon their appropriate behavior or effort. It's descriptive and linked to their behavior, and it's conveyed with enthusiasm. It's authentic, and it's, again, contingent upon their effort. Kids know when we're faking it. So, wow, I appreciate you walking in the door like that. You have such self-control. Versus, you're so smart. You're so great. I don't know. It's hard. So our goal is to give children attention when they're engaging in appropriate behaviors, monitor our own behaviors, so we're giving more time to them when they're doing the right thing, using that positive descriptive language, and less time giving directions and correcting inappropriate behaviors. More time to positive descriptive, less time to correcting and giving directions. And again, this is our little, what percentage of behavior is determined by its consequences? Yeah. Quickest way to change behavior in anyone, point out what they're doing right. 80%. You know how often children comply with requests? The study shows that children actually comply with requests 80% of the time. You know how often they're complimented for their behavior? So just different ways to provide feedback, sharing it with families. And then when you guys come, if you come early next week, I will let you start doing your, on your, what's it called? That the big piece of paper that you write in. Yeah. My brain is fried. No. Your inventory of practices, that. So in your inventory of practices, you can either work on it this next week, or when you come back, if you come early, you can work on the environment part. So it'd be pages 4 through 7. That's your inventory. And then after you do the inventory, then you make your action plan on pages 17 through 20. Just kind of like you did before on relationships, but this is the environment part. That big stapled piece of paper that's got all those. Questions?
What pages should we be working on?
It is pages 4 through 7 and 17 through 20. And it should be on, in your PowerPoint, it should be listed there. Yeah, on one of the very last, almost the very last page, it'll be right up here where it says 4 through 7 and then 17 through 20 on this. First and most important thing you can do, build that relationship. Then focus on prevention, teaching the appropriate skills. Promoting social emotional development is not easy. There's no quick fixes, but it's a comprehensive, long-lasting thing. So if you guys can do this, I mean, seriously, it's going to change. It's going to change. Look what it's done already. I mean, the things you've already put in place, it's making a difference, and it will continue to make a difference. Have a great week. Thank you.